Welcome to the third module of the SaferAfrica e-learning course. This module is about road safety management. And my name is Ludo Kluppels. I'm working in the VIAS Institute in Brussels, in Belgium. And I will lead you through this session. Before you start this module, you have already learned a lot of things about the basic concept of road safety, which was discussed in Module 1, and you have also gone through one of the most important issues for developing actions, namely collecting and analyzing data. Before you can start with more practical aspects of infrastructure, safe users, safe vehicles, and post-crash care, we will give you some ideas on road safety management. We have prepared 4 different sessions. First is about a lead agency. The 3 other sessions will discuss some of the important tasks of a lead agency, namely the development of a strategy, planning actions to tackle road safety problems, and the undeniable aspect of funding. But first of all, let's talk about the lead agency. In this session, we have 4 different chapters. The big question is, why do we need such a thing as a lead agency? We will give you an overview of the different tasks and aspects a lead agency has to fulfill to create a good management. To execute all these tasks, an agency needs a strong basis. We will describe here some of the conditions for this. And last, there are different kinds of organizational structures for such an agency. What are the pros and the cons of each? Why do we need a lead agency? That traffic generates a high cost to society and to public health is without question. In the first module on the SaferAfrica e-learning course, it was already mentioned that for young people between 15 and 24 years old, injuries of road accidents are far more important than other diseases like HIV and malaria. The economic cost is estimated at 5% of the GDP in low and middle income countries. We don't have to repeat it, but road accidents are a major problem all over the world. On the other hand, road accidents are largely preventable, as said in the World Report on Road Traffic Injury Prevention. Fatal and long-term crash injuries is largely predictable, largely avoidable, and a problem amenable to rational analysis and remedy. Very substantial reductions in road fatalities and serious injuries have been achieved through the applications of evidence-based measures. And the first step to realize such a reduction is to create an agency that will take the responsibility and the engagement to take care of it. Road safety is too important to give it as a supplemental task to another agency or department. It needs full attention and priority of an independent agency that has enough resources to complete the job. A good funding is necessary to engage the right experts and to initiate actions. We come back to that issue in the 4th session of this module. When you got experts, you can build up knowledge. The actual situation of the country must be inventorized and analyzed. A lot of knowledge and experience is already available all over the world and available on the web. See, for example, WHO, PRC, ERF. Road safety is also a complex, multi-sectorial issue. Already in Model 1, you have seen the different disciplines that are or could be involved in road safety. Road safety needs coordinated actions on vehicles, the environment, and on road users. These actions could be summarized as actions in education, engineering, enforcement, and emergency care. All of these actions must be based on evidence, data analysis, in-depth investigations. So road safety management needs a lot of coordination between different agencies and organizations. To achieve results and effects, it requires a long-term vision and actions. Therefore, an agency needs to have a certain power to make decisions, to coordinate actions and the efforts of all participating persons. The different tasks of a lead agency are described in different publications. The EU project SafetyNet has in 2009 written a document on this issue. The World Health Organization has described the different tasks in their Road Safety Action Plan, and SSTAP has published in 2014 a document called Managing Road Safety in Africa, which is a framework for national lead agency. It's written by Martin Small and Justin Renew. But also Bliss and Breen have already in 2009 formulated guidelines on this issue and published it by the World Bank. The World Health Organization and its action plan describes for Pillar 1, which is road safety management, the following idea concerning a national lead agency. The designation of a lead agency with the capacity to develop and lead the delivery of a national road safety strategy, plan and targets, underpinned by data collection and evidential research to assess countermeasures design and monitor implementation and effectiveness. The United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, UNECA, classifies the different activities concerning road safety management, which is Pillar 1 from the World Health Organizations, in three important objectives. First of all, establish trained lead agency for road safety. Develop and improve data management system, and develop and strengthen partnerships and collaborations. Each of them exists of different actions. We will discuss them in the next slide. The Road Safety Action Plan of the World Health Organization describes the following actions concerning a lead agency. Make road safety one of the focus area for development plans. So promote road safety. Prepare and approve a road safety policy and strategy. Set realistic targets. Use good practices from other countries and continents. Create knowledge management portals on road safety. On data collection, a lot of things are already said in Model 2 of this SaferAfrica e-learning program. A lead agency has a task to encourage this data collection from different sources and to bring them together and analyze them, to monitor and to evaluate the actual situation in the country. Action plans and initiatives should be built on the result of these analyses. Crash data are the center of it all, and one of the tasks of a lead agency is to ensure that all providers, police, gendarmerie, use the same standards and protocols, and these standards must be conform to international or regional definitions and agreements. Crash data must be embedded in other data, like injury data from the health services, a vehicle registration system, and a register of licenses. A broader system of data like safety performance indicators can give more insight in causes and evolution. These different data systems are discussed in more detail in Module 2 on data collection. Gathering data leads to analysis which form a basis for making plans and developing strategies. At least an annual report on road safety data is necessary. A good and effective approach in road safety requires a good coordination and cooperation between the lead agency and a lot of other key partners. On a national level, we can distinguish three kinds of partners. First of all, the authorities who decide and have the power to implement regulations and to provide resources and who are politically responsible for road safety. Building a strategy can't be done without the elected representatives, and a lead agency has a task to assist them to identify the benefits of significant actions. Several different associations, organizations, and departments in the government have a role or a contribution to road safety. Bringing all these players together to create a national assembly or work groups could give more power and general support for road safety in general. As a leading agency, it's also important to promote road safety in the private sector and in companies. Everyone is a part of traffic, and every road user can improve in its own way the safety of himself and others. On an international level, the lead agency has also an important role. In Africa, many big corridors are connecting different countries. Working together between countries to improve the safety on these corridors is an important issue. This can easily lead to more international cooperation, and many international associations are concerned and will invest in road safety. Being associated with these organizations could give a lot of benefits. More of this will be found in one of the following sessions in this model. Talking about the lead agency, do you know the situation in your country? So take some time to answer this question. Is there a lead agency in your countries? And do you know what they are doing? Is there a kind of annual report on their activities or on crash data? Is the agency a part of ministry, or is it connected with several different ministries and departments? Is there a general assembly of all or nearly all organizations concerned with road safety? Please take some time to think about it before you go further in this model. And please don't forget to restart the video. In nearly every African country, a lead agency on road safety is created, in one way or another. In Eastern Africa, only Djibouti and Tanzania are exceptions, and in Central African region, Congo did not have a lead agency. This is based on the data from the World Health Organization in 2015. And all other countries have in one way or another a working lead agency on road safety, but all differ on their structure, power and resources. Let us focus now on the structure of such a lead agency in different African countries. Small and Runji, in their publication Managing Road Safety in Africa, which is a publication from the SSATP, distinguish three different ways for establishing a lead agency on road safety. The first one is a coordinating committee comprising representatives from key stakeholders. A second could be a National Road Safety Commission as part of one ministry, for example, the Ministry of Transport. Or a third possibility is an interministerial committee with a certain autonomy. What could be now the pros and the cons of each of these organizational frameworks? Speaking about a coordinating committee, it is simple and a quick way to initiate a lead agency in a country. In general, it could be seen as a first step. The difficulty is to keep this committee alive because there is no real owner. Essential is an administrative and technical staff to support the development of a decision-oriented agenda and to track the progress over time. Problems may emerge if there is no real funding and legislation about the existence and the competences of such a committee. The second form, which is a lead agency functioning in a specific ministry or department, has some advantage. It is embedded in already established administrative systems and tends to create stronger synergies with the responsibilities of the host department. Mainly, this host department is a department with competences in transport or public works. The possible problem here is that the host department can be restrict or influence strongly the framing of road safety problems and plans, so that it suits to their own benefits. On the long run, this will create mistrust and barriers with other stakeholders. The third possibility is an autonomous lead agency, mostly constructed as an interministerial committee headed by the Prime Ministry. In most countries, the secretary of this committee is situated in the Ministry of Transport, but only for practical reasons. This form relies on a robust legislative framework, sufficient leadership and technical capacities to gain respect and input from operational agency, which may have seen themselves as being responsible for road safety previously. Creating such an independent agency has three different risks. According to a report from the OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. The first problem could be that creating such a new agency without a clear public policy justification. Second problem could be not getting the right rules and systems in place for external direction and control. And the third one is that the organization is created but has not set up to manage themselves properly. In creating an agency, the government has to be clear about the public policy reasons for this agency. In general, a government creates an agency to improve the performance of certain services. Ministries and governmental departments are characterized with a certain bureaucracy and need a lot of time due to the step-by-step decision-making process. A second reason for creating agencies has to do with political influence. To have a certain credibility to all kinds of stakeholders, the Road Safety Agency, although it depends on political decisions concerning the outcome, may not be influenced in its discussions and is analyzed by political parties or the temporal political color of a specific ministry. This also implicates that creating the agency, its mission must be clearly identified and the necessary support or funding must be regulated by legislation. The staff must be very motivated and professional and led by a manager with authority to get on and do the job. It is important that the cooperation and the rules about control between agency and the government are well established and clearly formulated The OECD indicates in a report three main issues. The first concerned the uniformity of different agencies in the country. Having a lot of agency working with different regulations creates the risk that these different organizations could not work together on common objective, or that the boundaries between different organizations are not clear, overlapping or leading to clashing jurisdictions. Harmonizing legal provisions of different agencies will decrease interagency rivalry and increase the joint effort. Secondly, it is important to get governance right. In general, and especially in domains where the government plays an important role in implementing conclusions, it's a good thing to host the agency in an existing ministry or department, but with a specific performance agreement and having delegated significant managerial autonomy. Between the parent, the hosting ministry or department, and the management of the agency, a board can play a protective role in both ways. It can protect the agency for too many influences of the government, but also as a kind of control over the performance of the agency. In some way or another, the government must keep some control on the agency, because the agency has a public role and is also funded by community, direct or indirect. It must be clear in advance how and when the government or the host ministry can intervene, on which topics, with which consequences. In general, a lot of governments work with the idea of managing by numbers. This means that there is an agreement on what the agency must provide, for example, an annual report, a number of actions, etc. A general phenomena known as a Hawthorne effect can be expected. After a first burst of enthusiasm and motivation for the mission of the agency, in most cases introduced by a charismatic leader with the strong support of powerful politicians. Then follows sometimes a period of opposition and the re-questioning of the efficacy and the need of such an agency. Old habits and bureaucracy win field and decrease the creativity and restrict the engagement. How can we overcome this effect? There are two ways to prevent or to minimize the effects. First of all, install a good working and powerful management board with different stakeholders who are well motivated. Secondly, from the beginning start with a good network and consultation, even participation in the decision-making process of stakeholders, NGOs engaged in road safety. Both structures can stimulate the management and the workers in the agency to stay motivated and focused. So we are not coming to the end of this first session on management, and what we have learned, first of all, that road safety is important enough and needs full attention to have a good and independent agency. Three important functions for this agency: lead the actions, collecting and analyzing data, and creating partnerships. To have a good agency, you need clear working conditions, clear official regulations, and be aware of the possible Hawthorne effect. For your attention, the next session on road safety management is about strategies.